This is a Sports Catastrophe production.
Hey there, hello there, it's Jeff Cutter Diamond welcoming you to another Sports Catastrophe on this day. And on this day, January the 15th, 1988, Jimmy the Greek Snyder would make comments that would ruin things a whole lot. So, anyway, Jimmy the Greek was this big name commentator for CBS Sports. And what happened was that he would be doing like gambling stuff on NFL Today, trying to do it as legally as possible, as sports gambling was a whole lot illegal at that time, and not like it is today, like with all the commercials. So anyway, Jimmy the Greek would give like sports lines on certain games and say, oh, they'll win by touchdown, maybe 6 points, maybe by field goal. Try to be cheeky about it. So he had a 12-year stint. He would try to predict results and all that. Unfortunately, there were some issues over the fact that Jimmy the Greek had run-ins with Brent Musburger, who was the host of the NFL Today, and Phyllis George, who was on the show, trying to break down barriers for females. The fact of the matter is that Snyder made a comment about Phyllis George's husband, who was Governor John Brown of Kentucky. There would be a major fight and all of that. But Phyllis George was so upset that she refused to be on set with Jimmy the Greek at the same time. So basically they would have to tape their segments differently. A segment would not overly mention betting or gambling, but it was just a taboo and all of that. Anyway, we knew what was going on, all that. So anyway, the NFL was adamant that they didn't want connections between gambling and the NFL, which is fine. And then all of a sudden, Pete Rozelle was actually an acquaintance of Jimmy the Greek and said that his work was acceptable. Kind of weird. Anyway, of course, Jimmy the Greek was in the Cannonball Run as a bookie. He gave 50-1 odds on the team of Dean Martin and Sammy Davis Jr. Snyder was actually a childhood acquaintance of Dean Martin in Steubenville, Ohio. Anyway, he was parodied by many things and all that. The fact of the matter was that he was actually parodied in The Simpsons, in the famous football episode Lisa the Greek in season 3, when Lisa has a canny ability to do sports predictions and wins Homer lots of moolah. The character named Smooth Jimmy Apollo, voiced by Phil Hartman, would give predictions about football games and all that. And let's not forget the 30 for 30 ESPN did on him in 2009. Talking to Brent Musburger, Irv Cross, and Phyllis George about his stuff. But the main reason for Jimmy the Greek was this date in 1988. There was a lunchtime interview on NBC's WRC TV at Duke Siebert's Washington restaurant. The reporter said he did interviews with various people about Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday and what they thought that the next step in civil rights should be. He put the question to Jimmy the Greek and he said this: unfortunately, what I'm going to read is basically Jimmy the Greek's comments and does not reflect any views I have. So anyway, Snyder said, the black is a better athlete to begin with because he's bred to be that way, because of his high thighs and big thighs that go up into his back. And they can jump higher and faster with their bigger thighs. And he's bred to be the better athlete because this goes back to the Civil War, when during slave trading, the owner, a slave owner, would breed his big black to his big woman so that they could have a big black head. See, that's where it all started. Well, that just wasn't meant to be. However, Jimmy the Greek would add another part to his comments, saying that, he also said that if the blacks take over the coaching and managing of Major League teams, there won't be anything for the whites. And yes, that's what he said. So that it was just as bad as the other stuff. It's just terrible and all of that. Basically, CBS got rid of him and all that because of his comments and all that. Many people did not oppose CBS's decision to fire him. Irv Cross actually said that he didn't consider Jimmy to be racist. Was just in his mind. And Frank DeVerd of Sports Illustrated said Jimmy often tried to sound more educated than he actually was, and it was just him trying to make a point about a subject of which he knew nothing. Of course, that was just terrible about the coaching and all that. He was not trying to be derogatory, as Snyder said. He said that what whites control are the coaching jobs, and the black television is beautiful. Unfortunately, CBS did not agree and just canned him. I don't blame CBS one bit. I mean, racist comments like that are just stupid. We talk about this now in 2024, the way it is, but back in the 80s, it was just as bad. Let's just agree to disagree on many things. But the fact of the matter was that he was done for on CBS. CBS did the right thing by getting rid of him. Snyder did sue for age discrimination, defamation, breach of contract. Unfortunately, Snyder would lose the case, as he should have. So anyhow, the fact of the matter is Jimmy the Greek was a legendary commentator. And unfortunately, those comments just ruined him, and rightfully so. I mean, how would you react if comments like that would happen nowadays? The same, I suppose. But that's just the way it goes. Anyway, I'm Jeff Diamond. I do.